Alright, I'm going to tear down my RefDes headset. There was an issue with the external analog audio here, and that had come apart on the inside. The soldering joints had it. So I pulled it apart completely, got down to that point, resoldered that, put it all back together, and it works nicely now. The issue is I left out one little part, so I'm going back in. It's actually hardly necessary, but it won't feel right unless it's done properly. So first things, we need to just remove everything around the headset to get it out. So first of all, I'll take off the mask part about the nose. There's a small switch in here. Just flick that and press the button on the bottom. Then the headset comes off. There's another little audio jack there, and the main cable needs to be unplugged as well. Alright. So this is the part that we need to get apart. Now, I did pull it apart. I didn't put it back together 100% luckily. So I've saved myself a small amount of work. But basically, step one was to use a tool that will, a plastic tool or a metal tool, to get the surround around this camera off. And then also the front plate across the bottom there, which just unclips, and you clip it up as you go. You can see a bit of sort of sticky adhesive here at both ends and a little bit in the middle, but it kind of comes off pretty easily. And then do the same unclipping as we go around here from the bottom and around the top. Actually, I'll get those parts and have a quick look at what they look like. So here's the main front plate. It's just got some little plastic clips. It didn't break any of them, luckily. The bottom part, and it also has a few plastic clips. You can see where they are, and here's the little surround for the camera. Okay, so the next thing we need to now do is start to pull out the electronics. So first thing is we take off this plastic front. So to do that, luckily all the screws in here are all the same size as each other. It's a bit different to a mobile phone where there are a range of different sizes, so we don't need to worry too much about keeping them aside. Just pull them out. First thing, pop a magnet on the side of your screwdriver, and there are, I think, 7 screws, so we have on each of the corners, 2 across the top, another one on that corner, one at the bottom, one in the middle, another one at the bottom. So I'm going to take all of those off one after another. Okay, so the magnet helps obviously keep those screws on the end so we don't lose them at all. Otherwise, it's also useful for putting them back in because they just sit on the end of your screwdriver nicely. Make sure we put all the screws in a place where we can't lose them. I'll take off these little rubber surrounds from the 2 bottom cameras. And I now want to pull off this front plastic, and that can be done with just a bit of a pull from the front there. Use some kind of a levering tool. Okay, that at the back. Okay, next thing, we now want to pull out this electronics board through the middle here. We'll need to remove the surrounding one of the cameras to do that, and a number of the different screws. So I found the easiest way to remove that camera surrounders from the inside so we can push it out. Less chance of doing damage to the outside. It's still not too easy, but I'm just putting something on the inside and just going to push from there. Okay, head off. Camera looks like. Same thing with this this top camera. Now we need to actually just take off the rubber surround. There's a small bracket on the left here, so if we could take off that front screw. These are very small Phillips screws, so I don't really have a perfect tool for it, but actually this one's a little bit better than one I was using before. Put the magnet back on that one. And there's a that small bracket can just pop off there. Can go. Okay, so now we need to remove this main circuit board. It has 2 screws at the top. I think the 2 at the bottom need to come off. That may be about it. But there are a number of different connections that need to be disconnected first. So we'll need to take off this bracket at the top as well, and that bracket, and then we can pull out the little connections. The top 2 left and right ones pop forwards. The other ones all pull out away from the connector. So let's disconnect those to start with. Start with those top 2. Down. And then that comes off. Oop. That way. The other one. Okay, and we can use a little fingernail or a plastic prizing tool to pull that one off. Same with the one at the other end. Okay, and then these other strips all have little pull tabs on them. So we can just pull those out if some of them are a bit small. Let's see, I've pulled that straight out. These ones here, the same. Little that side one needs to come out. I've got a pull tab on there. Okay, now the bottom one can stay in. These 2 bottom ones, well, that side one there, sorry, can stay in. The 2 very bottom ones do need to come out. They've got pull tabs on them. And the side one at this end can stay on as well. So what do we got? The top one still needs to come out. I think we'll just wriggle it a bit and that'll pop out pretty easily. Okay. Now I'll undo some of the other screws. So what do we got? I think this one here and the metal bracket needs to come now. Again, the screws are all the same size as each other. Can't remember for sure, but let's take this one out. I think that does need to come out. So that little metal bracket holding that connection on has come off as well with it, but that we don't need to undo that connection. Okay, I'll take this one as well. Okay, I guess we have to take the top screw on that metal bracket as well, and one at the other end as well. Okay, it's coming nice and loose now. So we've taken one camera surround off at one end. Should be able to lift that circuit board out and pull it out from the other end. Great. Okay, so now we can see the back of the LCD panel there. We have to remove the plastic cover for that, and then the LCD panel itself. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. Simple as that. So undo those. And one more thing to note is there is this little clip just here. When you just pop that up and note where that goes, because it comes up through that little gap there actually. So hopefully now we can lever this whole plastic panel off. It's just held with a couple of clips at the ends now, I think. I'm sure there's a way to unclip those. In that bottom one as well to help lever that up. Okay, now I'm not going to undo that, it can stay connected like that. So I just now need to get to the panel underneath and remove that. Okay, so that has 4 screws, one all the way down on the bottom here, one through the small hole at the top there, one down the bottom at this end, and one through the small hole up the top as well. They get a bit more difficult as we go, so let's might need to use a little bit of light now. Okay, that's one of them. Top one. The hardest ones of all, down the long hole there. For this one you can actually get quite a good view of it in through the camera hole there, so move that up a bit. All right, actually before we undo the last screw, I'm just going to take off these lens surrounds. Just pop off with your fingernail. Okay, now we'll go for that last screw. Not sure if I've got that one fully out actually. Very close. Okay, got it. Okay, last one down the side. Okay, and we can use that camera surround. Now that we've taken those 4 screws out, our whole LCD panel can come out with the lenses attached, and we've really got down to the basics. And inside here is the audio connection, which I had trouble with. Okay, well let's breaking it down. Got to the part I needed. That audio connection, the main plug had disconnected from the little circuit board it's connecting, sitting on. There's 5 small solder joints that I just had to redo around the outside, and then put it all back together, and it's working perfectly. Okay, now the rebuild. So I've reattached the little metal bracket that surrounds that audio jack that I missed previously. It was a bit of a mistake, but meant that I got to make this video. So first of all, we pop the LCD panel back in. Make sure we get that up the right way, and that all those ribbon cables pop through the front so we can reattach them. There's 2 at the bottom, 1 at the top. Okay, so that's popped in the correct position, I believe. So now the hardest part is get those 4 screws back in. Okay, one at a time. Start with that one, which hopefully I can see. Okay, so getting those 2 screws in, one through the hole there at the bottom and one at the top, is the hardest part of all, so I've just done that offline. Make sure we have this little clip here going up through the correct place here. Okay. So I've got the LCD panel in. I've got those 4 screws put back in the 4 corners. They're a bit tricky to do, but if you get a good light, you can see the screw hole through there and get those in. It's not the easiest part. You have to be very careful that we do have the 5 ribbons, 1, 2, 3, 2 at the front, 4 and 5 up from below that LCD panel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then there's this one here that comes from the back of the LCD panel as well. So now we just clip that plastic part here onto the back of the LCD panel. There's a couple of posts, one at the top and one at the bottom here, that align it correctly, and it should just clip in. And then there's the 4 screws that we put in. Okay, it still sits on there pretty nicely. Put those lens surrounds on, just clip on pretty easily. So you line them up correctly, you'll be okay. Okay, now we get the electronics board, starting at this end where we haven't taken out the surround for the camera. Make sure all of the ribbons that need to come over the top do. Goes in there. Put that button there. It needs to go over the top. That one will work. Okay, we have some screws we can put in, but let's just attach that one. Attach those 2 corner ones. They just are a push fit. Just feel right when they're connected. There we go. And then there's the 2 metal brackets that go over those ones. So starting at the top, just clips over. Got to get that spot on so that hole lines up. Okay, we'll tighten that up shortly. Do another bracket from the other side. Okay, now let's put some of these back in. Ribbons are fairly easy to just push into the right position. You've got a little white line there that just kind of gives you a pretty good indication that they're in all the way. There we go, we can sort of see that's in nicely. Just a little wriggle as you go. Okay, that one's good. I've got that one at the top, still got to do this one down the bottom here. Okay, there's that one, and lastly, this one at the top. Probably the second audio jack. Whew, okay. So I did have that metal clip. It comes under here and it just provides an electrical connection, I think an earthing connection or something through to the back of the circuit board. So that's clipped in place nicely there now. This one here is still a little bit loose, so I need to tighten that up. And I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws to put in. So let's go ahead and do those. And we're pretty much at the end of it. But one last thing, really. Is to put that little clip back on the camera, the top facing camera. Okay, I've tightened up all of the screws. Next thing we need to do is put that camera surround back in. You can look at the one on the other side and kind of see that there's a bit of a bulge at its where it goes around the bottom corner there. So we'll put that in a similar position and clip that in. There we go. Make sure we put the rubber surrounds on the other cameras. 3 of them, one on the top, two on the sides. Okay, now we're going to put the front on. Now there's a little antenna built into that front. It has a little connection on the back, you can just see there. So that's got to go into this little connection right up there. So that's slightly tricky. You can feel when it's clipped in correctly. Just got to put it in position, get that in the right place, and push down on it once it's in the exact right spot. Okay, heard it click. It's connected. Put the front back on. We can put this in now as well. The top kinks around. Perfect. And we have those 7 screws that go on the front. And we put on, clip this back on the bottom, and main fascia clips on the front, and we're all done. It's a little bit of a tricky dismantle. Putting back together is a little bit trickier, in fact, with those 4 screws in the corners of the LCD are a little tricky to get at, but so don't attempt it unless you're confident you'll be able to do those things. Okay, well, thank you for watching. I hope it is useful. Thanks for watching. Bye. So the putting it back together is the reverse, full reverse of what we've just done, obviously. These little panels, the little ribbon strips just slide in very nicely and easily, and you can sort of really tell when they're in the circuit boards. Don't forget, get everything in the right order. That little metal strip we saw before comes up through that gap and then clips over here. And then once you've done that, put the rubber seals around the cameras and clip it all back together, and hopefully you'll be good. Okay, well that's all for now, so I hope that's useful. All right, bye then.